It's Monday night. Let's talk. You're listening to the David Dean Coaches Show on Rock 108. Rock
108. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the David Dean Coaches Show, live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to our VSU Blazer Brigade pep band. They're sponsored by the Doctor's Laboratory, a Solstice lab partner. Also, thank you to our show sponsors, Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Printco. Now let's go to head coach David Dean and David Schmidt.
Coach, hearing that pep band get started was kind of like listening to them the other night. Of course, it was the whole band. But it was a battle of the bands in the stands and the battle of the fans in the stands. And the Blazers and the Golden Rams got together for the 15th time. And once again, VSU came out on top.
I think we won all three. I think the band, the fans, and the team all won that night. Fantastic job for everybody that showed up. You look up there and our stands were completely full. They were all screaming and hollering. And, I think our band at the end of the game had to be the MVP of the ball game. They started cranking up the music and they had a timeout and they got louder and louder and louder. And I thought at one point they were going to go over there and ask the band to be quiet. And when they did, they got even louder. And it really caused a lot of headaches for the Albany State offense as they were trying to make their calls and do that. And so my hat's off to the band and what they did and the energy that they provided to our football team and to the fans. Just a great job. Thanks a lot.
Coach, it's a great rivalry. I mean, you had more than 10,000 fans there. A great atmosphere. I mean, it's really what college football is all about. You don't have that opportunity very often at this level because sometimes the rivalries are so far spaced out. But it was just a great night, and to travel, second time on the road against the ranked team at the time, against a team that was in the playoffs last year, and you guys came in, people have been criticizing this and that for the previous games, but you came in, you stopped them cold a couple times, you scored a couple times right off the bat. It was a completely different game, and they held on the rest of the way. It was just a great battle and a great test for you guys, and once again, they rose to the top.
They did. We made the plays when we had to. I'll give Albany State a lot of credit. They're a great football team. They're going to win a lot of football games this year. We were just fortunate that we made a few more plays than they did and came out on top. They're a good football team. They're a class bunch. They played very hard. They played well. And, you're talking about the atmosphere. Their fans were electric. Our fans were electric. I mean, as a player, you can't ask for anything better at this level, to be out there and playing in that stadium in that type of atmosphere with that much on the line. Both teams undefeated. Both of them ranked in the top 12 in the country. And, you just can't ask for anything better at this level.
You had to like the way the game started. Obviously, you had a plan to stop them. You always do. But to go in there, you get a 3-and-out right away, and then VSU takes over the ball, and you drive on down, and you get a touchdown pass from Austin to Quinn Roberson. Kick it off, hold them to 4 plays, able to get a first down, but still 4 plays. Not much more than that. Your next drive, you're going to drive it down. Again, I think it was an 80-something yard drive. And a nice run by David Bailey. So right out of the gate, you're scoring through the air, you're scoring on the run, you're shutting them down, and just a great way to start, especially, again, on the road against a tough team.
Well, you're right, and we were criticized in the first drive of the game this week. Everybody's talking about our defense being out there so long. We scored in 5 plays, and we were criticized for scoring too quickly. And, you can forget that. We're going to score when we can score. But we did. We executed very well in the first 2 drives. It went up 14-0. Our defense was playing great. Really the turning point of the game came when we threw the interception. Our first turnover of the year, we threw the interception and gave them great field position on around the 30-yard line. But what was really impressive to me was it took them, I don't know how many snaps it took them, but with penalties and different things like that, it took them about 12 to 15 snaps to go those 35 yards. They had to convert 2 fourth-down conversions to make the score. So, that tells you a little bit about how well our defense was playing at that time. But, that if we don't throw that interception, it's a totally different ball game. If we drive down and maybe get a field goal or go up another score and go up 21-0, we're kind of taking them completely out of the game and forcing them to do some things that they're not ready to do.
And you mentioned that drive for them was 11 plays but only 29 yards. But it took them 5 minutes, and plus there was penalties and other things, so there's other snaps,
right,
like you said. But then again, you guys turned on and responded. That was a game of, if you look at it score-wise, you see 30-27, you were out 14-0. So, it depends on how you slice it up. But it comes down to the fact that you guys never trailed. When you had to respond, you responded. It came down to the fourth quarter. They scored to tie with, 14 minutes left, I think, and you basically shut them down for an entire quarter at the end. So you shut them down in the first quarter, and in essence shut them down in that second quarter,
right,
and then got that nice long field goal by Daniel Anderson to keep that lead, but still only 3 minutes left in the game. So, again, another test, but stepping up when you had to step up.
Exactly, and our special teams played great. We had great returns. Jack did a great job of kicking the ball down the field, and we had great coverage, forcing them to drive the length of the field. But you can't say enough about our extra point field goal team. Daniel Anderson comes in and hits 3 field goals. He goes 3 for 3 on extra points, and that ends up being our 30 points. You take those away, and it's a little bit different ball game. But outstanding protection by those guys up front. That's a thankless job, those guys that are up there in that protection, because they're just loading up and coming after you. And you got to create a wall up there to protect that kicker. But that group did an excellent job of execution.
Again, this is the 15th game in the series. For those of you that don't know, but I'm sure you've heard, Valdosta State 14-1 all time. That lone loss came the first game of the season in 2004 when they were able to avenge the loss. And ironically, that was the lowest margin of victory in an Albany State Valdosta State game, was the 24-22 loss that VSU had, this being the second lowest margin of victory. They're a different team than they've been through the years, aren't they? I mean, they've really they've got more playmakers than they've had in the past, and it seems like they're kind of, a little bit more balanced than what they've done in the past.
Well, they are. They've gone to getting a lot of junior college players, and those junior college players are fitting in very well with their system. But it also says a lot for the state of Georgia and how good high school football is in the state of Georgia, because a lot of the kids that they got on their football team, as well as us, all come from high schools in the state of Georgia. And I said it after the game. I think it was on the radio with Tom at the end of the game that, South Georgia can be proud because there's 2 good universities playing football in South Georgia, Albany State and Valdosta State, and they proved it tonight. It was a great football game. It was a hard-hitting, physical football game. Not a whole lot of mistakes were made in the game. It was a well-played, hard-fought game. And when it was all over, both teams walked out and had a lot of appreciation and a lot of respect for each other. And that says a lot for the players that are in this South Georgia area. But that's one thing that they have done is they've gone out and they've in the past they haven't had a lot of junior college transfers, but they're getting those now and they're fitting into their system very well.
And doesn't that kind of all add up to the importance of playing this game as often as possible? The fact that it does shine a light on Division II football and the competition you have there, 2 ranked teams. You have Albany State, who didn't lose a regular season game last year. Mm-hmm. Chances are they'll be in the playoffs. And I know you really don't want to play a lot of tough teams early on in the season as you try to set yourself up for the playoffs. But it seems like the recruiting power that this brings and the attention that it brings to football, it's sad that one of those teams has to lose. Right. But again, the importance of what it means beyond that and the recruiting wars and just the attention that it brings.
Well, it does. I mean, it's huge for us because everybody uses the stadium issue against us. That is one thing that we are constantly having to battle. And, there's nothing that we can do about that. We've got a great practice facility. We sell that. We sell our university. We sell the people in the university. We sell the town. And we're not able to do that if we can't bring those folks to the game like we did the other night, and they see the enthusiasm that our fans have and the enthusiasm that our players are playing with, we can't do that. And winning helps that. Winning brings that to the table. Because Albany State had a lot of players that we're recruiting that were at that game as unofficial visits, and they see that game and they see our crowd and hear our band and see our players. And that's going to spark an interest in those guys to want to come visit us later on down the road.
And I understand you had some former players there too that were, and one that lives locally, obviously. But it was a great chance for a lot of other players to come back, and again, what a great game to kind of rally around.
It really was. We had a lot of former players that were there, and that says a little bit about the rivalry as well. I was talking to our team earlier in the week about the Albany State rivalry, and I looked around and there was only about 3 guys on the entire team that had ever played Albany State before, and really 2 of those 3 were redshirted that year when we played Albany State. So that's the first time they lined up against them. So I got a little nervous about, do they really understand the rivalry of this game? I quickly found out on Friday that they understood it. When we did our walkthroughs and then we loaded the bus and we got to the stadium, it was very obvious. Their focus and their intensity was there, and they were excited about playing in that game. And but to see a lot of former players come back, that tells you that, number one, how big that rivalry is and what it meant to all those players that played in that rivalry. And I'll tell you, another guy that was there that didn't play there but represented a former player was Larry Dean's father. Larry Dean's father was there, came to the locker room after the game and shook a lot of the players' hands and a lot of the guys that Larry played with. So, it was good to see all those folks again, and hopefully they're going to come down and watch us play here in Valdosta.
And I think that's an example, too, of the modern-day rivalry, whereas before, had you not played it, but nowadays you got Facebook and all the other social media, so they can kind of talk trash and keep that rivalry alive. But they know these guys. It's just maybe not have played them on the field, or at least at this level.
Well, evidently there was a tremendous amount of trash talking between the two teams through whatever it is, Facebook, Twitter, I don't know that stuff. But evidently they had a lot of bantering going on back and forth throughout the week, and that does nothing but fire our kids up. I encourage everybody that we play, send us some ugly messages of what you're going to do to us, because our guys get excited about that.
Well, there you go. I think you should get a Twitter account then, and you could, let them go directly to you.
I wouldn't know how to use it.
We'll get somebody in there to show you. But again, it was a tough game. Never trailed. Responded when you had to. Came to that last field goal. There was actually a penalty on that play, which took it from 4th and 8, and it had a chance to make it 4th and 3. But again, you're not taking the points off the board. That doesn't seem like a tough decision, but let's say that would have been a 10-yard penalty. Of course, you don't have to play that what if because it didn't happen. But that's where the coaches that's where fans don't really understand how quickly you have to make a decision when you're in those.
Yeah, you've got to make a quick decision. I go back and say now it was the right decision. If they'd been a 10-yard penalty, it was the right decision. I trusted our defense, to be honest with you. I did not think that they were going to be able to drive down the field on our defense again and make a big play. And when Daniel hit that field goal, I didn't want to take a chance on us not being able to get down in there in the red zone and finish off a drive and then end up having to kick a field goal again. There was only 3 minutes left in the game. Right. We had 3 timeouts. Should they have hit a big play, we still had 3 timeouts that we could methodically move the ball down the field and score at the end of the game and not leave them a lot of time. So, that's all a lot of thinking that's got to go on in that quick period of time. But honestly, I really never hesitated on that. I wanted to keep those points on the board. I felt it was important at that time that we had the lead.
All right, a big game at Albany State, a nice 30-27 victory, the third of the season, a nice 3-0 start here at Valdosta State. We'll take our first break when we come back. More with Coach Dean.
There is absolutely nothing better than Friday night football in South Georgia. Don't you love it? Some of the nation's most elite players crashing helmets and blitzing the field to utterly, totally dominate their opponent is so relaxing. The sight and sound of tens of thousands of rabid fans screaming with every snap will rumble your soul. And don't even get me started on those power ballads during the halftime show. Man, it doesn't get any better. And to all of the opposing teams and their visiting fans, we love you, but you're going down. This is what we do, and this is how we roll. Tradition is here, and the future is now. It's Friday night football, folks. The trumpets are sounding, the air is thick, and victory is just 4 guaranteed action-packed quarters away. Brought to you by Southeastern Federal Credit Union, a very proud sponsor of South Georgia football.
Peaceway Counseling and Meditation Services Incorporated has diligently served Valdosta and the surrounding communities since 2006 and is now offering DUI school. Their team of licensed professional therapists is dedicated to providing a variety of services which include marital counseling, substance abuse treatment, individual and family therapy, anger management, domestic violence, and DUI classes. Peaceway counselors pride themselves on integrity, commitment, and professionalism. Call today at 333-2351 or visit peacewaycns.com. Peaceway Counseling and Meditation Services, helping to put the pieces together.
Shopaholics and people who hate shopping have one thing in common. Neither likes to shop for insurance. At Grange Insurance, we get that. That's why we recommend buying through independent agents.
Let Blanton & Griffin do the shopping for you. Blanton & Griffin will look at a variety of insurance companies and recommend only the best ones. Companies like Grange, who offer great value and exceptional claim service. Call Blanton & Griffin today at 247-6500.
Products not available in all states.
Accuracy, reliability, perfection. Exacting standards and passionate faithfulness are at the core of the legendary Tag Heuer watch collection. These standards beat strong in the hearts of every football player and die-hard fan. Champions of accuracy, champions of quality. Tag Heuer's and Girard & Jewelers' winning team can't be beat. Girard & Jewelers, our area's exclusive dealer of Tag Heuer timepieces, proudly supports Coach David Dean and the Valdosta State Blazers. See the rebirth of an icon, the Tag Heuer Link Series, exclusively available at Girard & Jewelers.
It's a world of endless meetings, a place where the copier's always jamming and cubicle dwellers always dream of better digs. Yeah, this is the typical American office, and come 5 o'clock, this is America's beer, Budweiser. It's brewed with the finest natural ingredients for the perfect combination of flavor and refreshment.
Budweiser, the great American style lager.
Budweiser beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. Please drink responsibly.
Hey, what do you have? It's the what'll you have moment. You want a light beer, right? But you also want real beer taste. Michelob Ultra. Smooth, refreshing, perfect taste. 95 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. That's the smart choice. So what will you have?
Yeah, a round of Michelob Ultra. Mick Ultra, you got it.
Live life to the ultra. Please drink responsibly. 2009 Anheuser-Busch Incorporated Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. 95 calories, 2.6 grams carbs, 0.6 grams protein, and 0 grams fat for 12 ounces.
It's Blazer Football Talk.
55 Texas D-Hook on one.
On the exclusive home of the David Dean Coaches Show, Rock 108.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the David Dean Coaches Show, live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you again to all of our sponsors: Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, City's Package Store, and Georgia Printco. Let's go back to head coach David Dean and David Schmidt.
Coach, a game like this, you can give out a lot of superlatives, but one group that, they play the game, they're there every game, but when it's all said and done, you don't see any stats, or at least you hope you don't see any stats, because you don't want to see penalties, or actually a couple of you guys had tackles that you didn't want having tackles on them. But the offensive line, you're talking about another solid game. Here you were against one of the biggest defensive fronts that you'll see, and probably have seen in a long time.
I hope.
Yeah. And then you look at the stats that they helped produce. 143 net yards, very few lost yards rushing. So you had good running and no sacks on Austin Roberts. As a matter of fact, of all the sacks, there was one quarterback hit. So not only did they not sack him, but they weren't really putting a lot of pressure on him. And it seems like he was making the right call. But the fact that and you had to make some adjustments on that offensive line too. So it's not like you've been practicing all year with that group of five.
No.
And yet they stepped up and they really put together a solid game.
They really did. I was awfully proud of those guys, and I don't know how many snaps we took offensively, but those five guys on the offensive front took every snap in that ball game. They played as hard in the first snap as they did at the very last snap of the game, and they did an outstanding job. Their two defensive tackles were as good as we faced in a long, long time, and they were non-factors in the game. They just controlled them. They did an outstanding job of blocking them. They put them on the ground a lot with cut blocks, out-hustled them to different spots on the field, and made sure that they cut those guys down. And that's one thing we ask those guys to do. You know, they're 330-something pounds, and if you can keep making them get back up off the ground over and over and over, they're gonna fatigue a little bit. And our guys they played an outstanding football game and went after them from the get-go.
And you actually had a case of where one of their guys did have trouble getting up and down on a regular basis.
Yeah, well, we put the big defensive lineman that plays the nose. We actually knocked him out of the ball game twice. He came out, he went out, and then came back in, and then went out again, but then he did come back. But they played a lot of guys up front. They kept rolling guys in there against our guys, but they were up to the challenge. And we need those guys to play that way all year long and continue to fight and play with a little nastiness and a little meanness about them. And those five guys right now have an attitude about themselves, and it's exciting to see them go out on the field with that attitude.
And talk about the changes you made, because again, that's not the same five that you started with. Unfortunately, you had a couple injuries, and it caused the change, but they were able to get ready very quickly and produce those results.
Well, the big thing was Cam Short, who normally is our starting left guard. When Jake went down in the Newberry game, we moved him to center, and he played center, as well as moving Robert Newton from right guard to left guard. So we had two guys starting in a different position, where Robert's usually a right guard, he was starting at left guard, and then Cam, who's usually the left guard, was starting at center. And there's a lot on Cam. There's a guy right on his nose. A lot of times there's always a guy that's shaded off the ball. Albany State lines a guy right up over the top of the ball almost every single snap. And that guy's 330-something pounds. And Cam's got to make the front calls so we can run our plays. He's got to make sure the snap is good. He's got to make sure that he maintains his block and then finishes his block and then gets back on the ball and do it all over again for 70-something snaps. And, we had two fumble issues with snaps. Neither one of them were Cam's fault. One of them, Austin just took his eyes off the ball and let the ball hit the ground out of his hands. The other one, he was actually too close to Cam, and the ball got to him too fast. So neither one of those snap issues were Cam's fault. They were from the quarterback position. So, playing a new position for the first time the entire game against that caliber of defense and athlete, I thought Cam Short played an outstanding football game.
And it's not easy to make light, too. When you talk about successful snaps, you're talking about snaps in the shotgun, where he's doing that. I mean, it's not like he's just setting up center and the quarterback's taking it from him. I mean, that takes some timing, that takes some practice. Did you guys not feed him all week?
No, trust me, he ate. Trust me, he ate. He's not going to miss a meal. None of those offensive linemen are going to miss a meal.
I was going to say, you've pretty much covered the gamut now with Cam Short, from Rooster Russell to Cam Short as your center.
Yeah.
I think that shows that heart plays a big role, and that to play third position, you have to have heart first.
No, there's no question, and I don't know if we have a guy that has a bigger heart on our football team than Cam Short. He's got a friend here that's got autism, and he spends a lot of time with him, and that just tells you a little bit about him and what he does away from football, that he takes that time to spend with that young man, and they'll go to different places, and He'll take him to eat. He'll take him to playgrounds and different things like that. And he's really been a light in that young kid's life, and it's exciting to see him. And anytime that he sees Cam, you can just see the elation in him and how much he appreciated and really loves Cam. And Cam's just a great person. And fortunately for us, the 5 guys that played in that game on our offensive line, you're talking about junior, sophomore, junior. So they're all going to be back next year.
All right. Looking again at the stats, another one, you look at Austin Roberts' stats, another great game. As a quarterback, just the leadership. But, again, the one you look at and you just shake your head, the running that he's been able to produce this year. 8 carries, 60 yards. He had no lost rushes. Again, the team, with those fumbles or the bad snaps, gets credit toward the team. So he could have done something about that. But they weren't runs. But you got Cam averaging 7.5 yards a game, and he's doing it at the right time and making the right call each time.
He is. That's some read stuff that he has to do and be efficient on. And if he makes a poor read, we're not going to get any yardage on it. And for a guy who's as slow as he is to be able to average 7 yards a rush, that tells you he's making some really good reads, because I'm not real sure he could outrun a lot of folks on our football team. But it says a lot for the offensive line and the way they're blocking, and then also what he's doing with the read packages that we're putting in front of him and asking him to do.
And then you look at him from a passing standpoint, hit 10 different receivers. Now, you mentioned this afternoon about some of the quick outs are designed that way. But, again, he's making reads there as well. So it's not like he's just stepping back and I know I'm going to Griffin, or I know I'm going to Quinn. I mean, these plays have a lot of options, and he's having to pick the right one. And he's been successful so far.
He has been, and I remember 2 times in the ball game he threw the ball away when he needed to. He didn't have anybody open. He wasn't going to take a sack. He threw the ball away. One time because we ran a poor route, the other time because they did an outstanding job of covering. We had 3 drops in the game. I think one of them probably may not have been credited to Austin, or not to the wide receiver, because Austin put it out a little bit too far in front. But, I think as a wide receiver coach, you ask that guy to make that catch. But 5 of the throws that he threw as incompletes were not his fault. They were either drops or throwaways, which is what we asked him to do.
Looking at the running game that's behind him, Theseus Jackson, boy, he's really stepping up and kind of a little triple threat there now. He's running out of the backfield. He's catching it out of the backfield. He's running kicks back. You look at him and you're amazed by his speed, but he's just not a space speed guy either. I mean, he's a hard runner that just gets on you very quickly.
He does, and one thing that we addressed with him in the entire off season was to go north and south. If he was going to be the runner that we need him to be, he had to attack the line of scrimmage and not always bounce everything outside and use his speed. And now he's beginning to realize that if I can crease the offensive line and get into the secondary, I've got a chance to make a lot of big plays. And he's beginning to realize that now, and he's just playing at a different level for us as what he has done for the past 2 years. And he's only going to get better. He's got a great attitude. You look back on the bench and you take him out of the game and he smiles. You put him in the game and he smiles. And it doesn't matter what you ask him to do. He's going to smile, and he's going to do it at 100%. And we've got a lot of those guys on our team right now, and that's one of the reasons that we're winning, that we have an unselfish bunch that want to go out, they want to win, they want to do their job, and whatever you ask them to do, they're going to do it.
And I'm sure you're not aware of this because you have so many guys to pay attention to, but in pregame warm-ups and when he's out there doing his practice, he's smiling then too. It's almost like he's dancing and singing to himself as he's out there just kind of bopping around and doing what he's supposed to do, and he's just always, the next play is the best one ever.
Sure, if you go up and tell him, look, we're not going to have a pregame meal today, he'll smile and he'll say, well, I'll figure out some way to go eat. I'll go find something somewhere.
And then if we look at the defense quickly, you had 6 guys with at least 5 tackles. Overall, there was 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and then in addition to that, 4 quarterback hits. Again, you've got a bunch of guys that are contributing. You're not just having to rely on certain people to step up each game. That has to be a good sign, especially 3 games into the season, two tough road games that everybody's showing up and they're doing their job, which is basically the motto of the season.
That's exactly right. They're all doing their job. I think we played 12 defensive linemen in that ball game, just kept rolling guys in, and They all bring a little bit of something different to the table, but they're all playing hard, and that's going to help us. That keeps us fresh. That's why we're being successful in the fourth quarter, rushing the passer, because Coach Chambers does a great job of rotating those guys in and out. But I think the big key in that ball game was we took their run game away. When they were not able to run the football, they became a little bit more one-dimensional. And when they did that, you can see what a good football team they have because the quarterback was still very efficient. Their wide receivers did an outstanding job of running routes and catching balls, even though we knew that they were forced to be throwing the football. So, if we don't take that run game away, we're in a little bit of trouble against those guys. But fortunately for us, we did a great job of stopping that run.
All right, it's another Monday night at Austin Cattle Company. We're talking about the third victory of the season, 30-27 over Albany State. When we come back, we'll talk more about the big victory, and we'll start looking ahead to next week's game at home versus Southern Arkansas.
We'll be back with more from the David Dean Coaches Show, brought to you by Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Printco. We'll be back with more live from Austin's Cattle Company on Rock 108.
There is absolutely nothing better than Friday night football in South Georgia. Don't you love it? Some of the nation's most elite players crashing helmets and blitzing the field to utterly, totally dominate their opponent is so relaxing. The sight and sound of tens of thousands of rabid fans screaming with every snap will rumble your soul. And don't even get me started on those power ballads during the halftime show. Man, it doesn't get any better. And to all of the opposing teams and their visiting fans, we love you, but you're going down. This is what we do, and this is how we roll. Tradition is here, and the future is now. It's Friday night football, folks. The trumpets are sounding. The air is thick. And victory is just 4 guaranteed action-packed quarters away. Brought to you by Southeastern Federal Credit Union, a very proud sponsor of South Georgia football.
Hi, this is Georgia head coach Mark Rick. Football season is coming soon, and your home for Georgia Game Day and Bulldog Hotline every Monday night is Valdosta's Rock Station, Rock 108.
That's right, Dog fans. Starting Saturday, September 3rd, catch all of the Bulldog action right here at Rock 108. Brought to you this season by Astro Exterminating, Wallace Truck and Equipment, First State Bank, Wells Fargo Advisors, Mike Birch Ford, Tatum Insurance, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin, Heritage Bank of the South, Georgia Farm Bureau, and Herndon Company Real Estate.
It's a world of endless meetings, a place where the copier's always jamming and cubicle dwellers always dream of better digs. Yeah, this is the typical American office, and come 5 o'clock, this is America's beer. Budweiser is brewed with the finest natural ingredients for the perfect combination of flavor and refreshment.
Budweiser, the great American style lager.
Budweiser beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. Please drink responsibly.
Hey, what do you have?
It's the what'll you have moment. You want a light beer, right? But you also want real beer taste. Michelob Ultra. Smooth, refreshing, perfect taste. 95 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. That's the smart choice. So what will you have?
Yeah, a round of Michelob Ultra. Mick Ultra, you got it.
Live life to the ultra. Please drink responsibly. 2009 Anheuser-Busch Incorporated Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. 95 calories, 2.6 grams carbs, 0.6 grams protein, and 0 grams fat for 12 ounces.
Smitty's Package Store is ready for Blazer football. Smitty's was voted the #1 liquor store in South Georgia, and they have everything that you need for the weekend, including ice-cold beer, wine, and liquor. Plus, you can pick up a cooler, a bag of ice, a nice cigar, and even the line for your Corona. As we cheer our Blazers on, don't forget to be safe. Make sure that you have a designated driver and that you drink responsibly. All good times begin at Smitty's, and go Blazers.
Blackcrow Media is looking for an energetic, assertive, and well-organized individual to fill an open position for account executive. Blackcrow Media has 7 stations that cover a 15-county area, and for a self-motivated individual, this position has no pay ceiling. This position is Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and does require some weekend work. Apply at 1711 Ellis Drive or email your resume to kpelkowski@blackcrow.fm. No phone calls, please. Applicants must be 21 years or older, and sales experience is required. Blackcrow Media of Valdosta, LLC is an equal opportunity employer.
Blazer football. talk. Coaches Show on Rock 108.
Back to the David Dean Coaches Show live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to all of our show sponsors: Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girardin Jewelers, Blanton and Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, City's Package Store, and Georgia Printco. Let's take it back to head coach David Dean and David Schmidt.
Well, Coach, we had a near perfect run of Players of the Week in the Gulf South Conference. We started the first game with an offensive player, had a defensive player last week, so we thinking we needed a special teams player. And guys kind of ruined it, only in the fact that we did get the special teams player of the week in Daniel Anderson, but we also got the defensive player of the week as well in Chris Pope.
That's exactly right, yeah. That's exciting. 3 weeks in a row we've had Conference Player of the Week, and I think Daniel's very deserving. 3 field goals, 3 extra points. Excellent job on kickoffs, kicking them deep, nice and high, and very well deserving. Chris Pope again, 9-something tackles. He had two quarterback hurries and a pass breakup. He was all around the football. Played an outstanding football game, and again, I think you talk to both of those guys, and they're going to say the same thing that Ryan Smith said last week. Everybody's got to do their job. That's why I was nominated that way. So, awfully proud of those guys. Daniel we have back for another year. He's just a junior, and Chris is just a sophomore. So, again, we're a very young football team, and we've only got 12 seniors, and of those 12 seniors, 9 of those 12 played in the game Saturday night. So, we're very youthful, and most of our guys are redshirt sophomores and juniors.
From a coaching standpoint, you have to love the fact that here you are, 3 games into the season, you have 2 defensive players of the week, 2 separate linebackers.
Yeah.
Again, everybody's doing their job, but the fact that no one needs and not that you've had that in the past, but no one needs the glory. No, it's just a matter of next guy up, or whoever happens to be in that zone, take the guy down.
That's exactly right. It's do your job, and that's our motto this year: do your job and finish. And that's exactly what those guys are doing. They're putting themselves in positions to make plays, and everybody's doing their jobs, which allows those guys to make plays. And a lot of it comes from hard work. Number one, those 2 guys worked extremely hard in the off season, but they're working hard on the practice field every day. And Chris Pope was a walk-on for us. He came here and had no scholarship, earned a scholarship. So, we're very fortunate to have him here, and that he decided that Valdosta State was where he's going to be. He's going to be a great football player for us. And like I said, just a sophomore. And this was only his 3rd start. He didn't start any games last year. He played a lot for us, but he only started his 3rd game Saturday night.
And then you look at Daniel Anderson. This is the 2nd time he's won the award. He tied for the most field goals he's ever had in one game with 3. The 3rd longest being that 43-yarder. And I wouldn't be too surprised if him and Jack Fulford don't have a little competition, being drafted Special Teams Player of the Week 3 times last year. So I'm sure Daniel should try at least time career-wise, if not season-wise.
Well, to be honest with you, I hope Daniel doesn't get too many of those, unless it's kicking a lot of extra points, because we need to start finishing off drives and not having field goals and relying on field goals. But, that's a good option to have when you feel like you get down in there, and that was something that Albany did not have. When they got down there, that's why they were going for those 4th down conversions. They did not feel comfortable with their kicker. We do. We feel like we've got a very good kicker with Daniel, and that was a very, very tough field to kick field goals off of, because the grass is very high. The ball sits way down into the grass, and trying to kick that ball out of that high grass is difficult a lot of times. But boy, every one of them he hit very, very well. He hit them high and got them up over those tall guys and put them right through the uprights.
A couple stats that jumped out as well. You mentioned Albany State going for it on 4th down. You guys were able to hold them to 3 of 16 on 3rd down. So in the typical average defense with a team that had a kicker of any sort, that's really shutting someone down.
Sure.
But then they went 5 of 6 on 4th down, but the one time that you shut them down was that second to last drive, basically their last scoring opportunity, and on a 4th and 18, You guys created an incomplete pass, so again, it's stepping up when you had to. But that just had to be exhausting to see those fourth downs. The chain hit fourth down, and then
over and over and over. And again, I think the 3 third down conversions that they converted were all long ones again, right. And that's frustrating. But we were much better on third down conversions, but our fourth down conversions are what got us this week. And the last one, they were 5 for 5, then they go for it on the 6th time, and they overthrew. And I think our defensive staff did an outstanding job on that next to the last series. They really did not put a lot of pressure on the quarterback with blitzes. They waited till just the right time, and they brought 2 blitzes in a row on first and second down and heated him up and forced him to throw the ball early. And he started thinking about that on third and fourth down, and he rushed his throws a little bit. And the fourth down throw, he way overthrew his defender or his receiver because he felt that pressure coming in there. And a lot of that had to do with Lawrence Virgil, our defensive end, came in there and just put great pressure on him. He absolutely pushed the pocket straight back and pushed one of those big offensive linemen right in the quarterback's face.
Up to that point, 5 of 5 on fourth down. Is any of that really attributed to game planning and calling the right players? A little bit of that luck.
Well, a lot of it is luck. From a play calling standpoint, you don't ever know what the other team's going to do. So a lot of it is luck, but it's all got to do with execution with your football players. As a play caller, you may call a great ball game, but if they don't execute, you look terrible. And you may call a poor game, but if they execute, you break a couple of tackles, or you make the wrong read in the throw, and they take a bad break on the football, or we make an outstanding catch, then all of a sudden you look good. So, from a coaching standpoint, coaching is overrated. It's trying to put your guys in the right place. But if your players don't go out and play and execute, it doesn't matter what you do. You could be the greatest coach in the world. If they don't execute, it's not going to happen.
And then one more stat that really stood out to me, and a lot of people watch or listen to the game. Again, playing on the road against a top-ranked team and the adversity that you face there, they almost threw a perfect game. And of the fact that they did not get their first penalty called against them until, mid-fourth quarter?
Yeah.
They were executing at a level beyond, and yet you guys still hung in there.
Yeah, we did. We had a lot of penalties go against us, several holding calls, and really they started after we got up about 14-0. We started getting some penalties. But it is frustrating. We're still making some of those mistakes that we don't need to make, and it's hurting us. As far as drives are concerned, we had a couple of pass interference calls that extended drives for them, and those are all things that we've got to correct and not give people second chance opportunities, and offensively putting us in the hole of having to go 3rd and 15 or 2nd and 12 and different things like that, because you're just not going to be as successful that way.
All right, Coach, we'll put the lid on our 3rd victory of the season. Again, VSU's 3-0. 30-27 against Albany State, and coming up Saturday night we'll start our farewell to Arkansas tour as we start in Arkansas. Come on back and we'll talk about what we are facing coming Saturday.
We'll be back with more from the David Dean Coaches Show live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to our sponsors: Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Printco. We'll be back with more live from Austin's Cattle Company on Rock 108.
Hey, this is head football coach David Dean of your VSU Blazers. Join us Monday night at Austin's Cattle Company for the David Dean Coaches Show live from 7 to 8 p.m. We will break down the previous week's game and get you ready for the upcoming game with my coaching staff and David Smith. For more information on sponsoring the show, please call your local Black Crow Media Sales representative at 244-8642. We look forward to seeing you at Austin's Cattle Company starting August the 29th.
David Dean Coaches Show is brought to you by Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, KFC, and Budweiser. Valdosta Lighting Center, located at 418 Northside Drive, has been serving homeowners and businesses in Valdosta and the surrounding areas since 1974. They have a 14,000 square foot facility and offer the finest lighting with over 200 residential, commercial, and industrial lines to choose from. Valdosta Lighting Center's staff has over 125 years combined experience. They offer scheduled, in-house, or on-site consultations as well as after-hours appointments for your convenience. Call Valdosta Lighting Center at 247-1526 or visit them online at ValdostaLighting.com.
Georgia Prinko would like to wish the 2011-2012 Valdosta State University Blazers a great season. Georgia Prinko is locally owned and operated and is a leader in the grand format printing industry. Georgia Prinko has served our community for 10 years, and they understand the importance of community support. Georgia Prinko takes pride in their winning business practices, and they look forward to a winning season for the VSU Blazers. Georgia Prinko is a worldwide wholesaler of sign and POP products. Call 229-482-3411 for your next signage project.
A nugget, by definition, is a lump, a chunk, a blob. We're KFC, and our cooks don't make blobs.
We certainly don't.
We believe bite-sized pieces of chicken shouldn't be pressed or formed like most nuggets are. So we use 100% off-the-bone premium breast meat. Every piece is a piece of the world's best chicken.
It's the only kind we know how to make.
Now you can try a large order of popcorn chicken for just $2.99. Today is a KFC day. Today tastes so good.
Limited time offer at participating KFC restaurants. Prices may vary. Tax extra.
Experience the difference of Griner Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty. For over 50 years, customers in South Georgia and North Florida have relied on Griner for their automotive needs. Griner continues to offer the best possible prices and service that keeps you coming back. After all, relationships are what the difference is all about. Visit Griner Nissan on Interportman Road in Valdosta and online at GrinerNissan.com. Griner Nissan, a proud sponsor of the VSU Blazers and the David Dean Coaches Show.
You're listening to the David Dean Coaches Show.
103,
on Rock 108.
Welcome back to the David Dean Coaches Show, live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Prinko. Now let's go back to head coach David Dean and David Schmidt.
Coach, it's been a crazy year in Division II so far. For anybody that follows it and pays attention to the polls, and I know until you get the regional rankings, as far as playoff runs, the polls don't really matter. You had 4 teams get knocked out of the top 25 last week, and you had 5 top 10 teams lose, so half of the top 10 lost. And when all was said and done, they did the reshuffling. Valdosta State went from number 12 to number 5, taking the biggest leap of any team this week, just going up 7 spots, and actually moved a little bit ahead of Delta State. So good luck with that.
Exactly.
Isn't that what the polls really are? Something you can put
exactly
on a bulletin board at this point?
You can take that and just toss it in the garbage can as you walk out. It means absolutely nothing right now. Of course, we're honored that people think highly enough of us to vote us number 5 in the country, and it's great for our players. But again, in September, it doesn't mean anything until you start jockeying for that position. And in late October and early November, that's when it starts to count. But what we pay more attention to are the regional rankings, and they don't come out till sometime in October. And all we care about is being one of the 6 in the Southeast. And if we continue to win, we're going to be in the playoffs, and that's all we care about. We're just going to win one game at a time and not worry about where we are or who's ahead of us, who's behind us. We just got to, for us right now, we're just going to worry about the Mule Riders coming in here Saturday night.
That's right. Again, we're starting the Farewell to Arkansas Tour. It's a 3-week run, starting here at Bazemore Hyder Stadium, and then a nice 2-week jaunt to Arkansas. Maybe you guys could stay for the week and just really soak it in, because it'll be the last time.
Well, I really pushed for that to be our fall break week, where we could just stay out there and not travel back and forth, but they didn't go for that. The Board of Regents doesn't listen to me very well, but that is going to be tough. We're going to play Southern Arkansas, and then we fly out to Arkansas Monticello and play a night game, come back, and then turn around the next Saturday and fly back out to beautiful Arkadelphia, Arkansas, and play Ouachita Baptist.
All right, Southern Arkansas coming off a 24-21 home loss on their family day against Southeastern Oklahoma, one of the new teams that they have in their Great American Conference. It's that great conference again. We don't have Wes James here, unfortunately. Wes is out recovering, but he's doing fine. Tell us a little bit about what we have coming up against, or what we're facing against Southern Arkansas.
Well, they played the first ball game of the year. They played Harding, who has been in the Gulf South Conference forever. Harding has moved their offense, has changed their offense, and now they're running the same thing that Georgia Tech and Georgia Southern are running. And this is the second year they're doing it, and they're doing it very, very well. And they did a lot of things to Southern Arkansas to take them out of the game and made some big plays and beat Southern Arkansas the first ball game of the year. They turned around the next week and played Southwest Oklahoma and beat Southwest Oklahoma 31-22, and actually were up at one time 31-10 and gave up 2 scores late to make it 31-22. And then last week they were up 21-7, I believe is what it was, 21-7 in the fourth quarter, and gave up 17 points in the fourth quarter to lose to Southeast Oklahoma. So that they've gone through the directional Oklahoma schools now. They beat one, they've lost one, but you look at them and who they played. Southwest Oklahoma this past week turned around and beat Henderson State. So they're a good football team, and they beat a good football team and had another good football team beat and let them off the hook and gave up some scores late in the fourth quarter to lose. But they're very good offensively. They've been hurt with the turnover bug a little bit in bad situations, turning it over near their goal line or throwing an interception for a touchdown, whatever. Their defense is very, very good. They're very athletic. We had a lot of trouble with their defense last year. We had a hard time moving the football against them. That's the game that our defense played extremely well, had 3 scores in. But for us, it's going to be a heck of a challenge, and we don't worry so much about how good they are. We worry about how we're going to respond. And what we've got to do is we've got to come out and we've got to put the Albany State game behind us, not look at the number 5 ranking, not look at any of that. And the one thing that I addressed with our football team Saturday night, I said, if you don't go out ready to play Southern Arkansas, number 1, they're going to beat you. But number 2, you don't ever have a chance to redeem that loss. This is it. This is the last time you're ever going to play Southern Arkansas unless you meet them in the playoffs. And that's a totally different season. So you better be ready to go out there. And that's the big thing for us. We got to put all that behind us, not hear how good we are, not think that we're all that good. Let's just go out and let's play with the same intensity, and let's prove it all over again that we are a good football team.
And I was kind of thinking, the other side of that coin, here Southern Arkansas is coming into play. This is traditionally we've done well against the Arkansas schools. This is their last chance to kind of make an imprint and say, you know what, at least we got that last one. So, it's almost like you face the champion each year, you'd always have the bigger target.
Sure.
Last shot, let's give it all we got.
Well, and just like us last week, you play a team that's in the top 10, you're gonna bring your best to the game because you want to beat a top 10 team and a top 5 team or the top team in the country. You want to beat them. But more so than anything, with the Arkansas schools leaving the Gulf South Conference, there's a little bit of bad blood going on right now, they're saying their conference is all this, and then the Gulf South Conference is saying that they're all this. So there's a little bit of bad blood going on between the two conferences. And, hopefully our guys are going to go out and play well and execute like we need to execute and play with a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm.
This will be your third night game. At least it's not a Thursday night game.
Yes.
Has it helped that you played in the night games before? Is it really that big of an issue? I know you have the challenge of keeping them occupied the whole day.
Right, yeah, I hate that. That's the only bad part about it. For me, I really enjoyed the Wingate game when we played in the afternoon, even though we played on the road. You really have the rest of the day just to kind of relax a little bit. And for me, I would rather play afternoon games because when we get through the game, I get a chance to go home and relax a little bit and maybe watch a college game on TV that night. But when you play the night game, you go home, you shower up, you get in the bed, get up 7 o'clock, you do a TV show, and then you're right back to work again at 10 o'clock watching film and getting ready for the next ball game. So there's really no break. So from a coaching standpoint, you really enjoy the afternoon games. From a fan standpoint, and tailgating standpoint and player standpoint, you really enjoy those night games. But I think our kids enjoy some of those afternoon games as well because they have that opportunity to go home or go out to eat with their family and do some things and see their families a little bit.
And this is Parents Weekend here on Valdosta State, so you'll have some of these parents coming in and getting to watch their sons play. So getting another reason to kind of get up and really show out and show what they're all about.
Well, I hope so. I hope we're gonna be ready to play and get out there and play a great football game. And you know, the one thing we got to realize, like I said, is they're coming in here to beat us, and we got to be ready to accept the challenge. And when they throw their first punch at us, and we got to be ready to throw a couple back at them.
And I'm sure it's the same traditional with the Blazer Walk, the same hour and a half before.
Hour and a half
time,
before.
Which is 7 o'clock is game time.
Yeah, so we'll roll in there about 5:30 or so and make our way into the stadium. So. We love to see everybody out there and, give these guys your support. And I know that they appreciate that. And with that being said, I want to say thanks to Andy Singfield from the Georgia State Patrol and Coach Bolton, for leading us over to Albany State Saturday night. We made it back from that game, I think, in about 35 minutes. I think somewhere around in there. But we thank Coach Bolton, and we thank the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office for helping us get back safely and donating their time to help our kids. And it really makes them feel special when they see those lights in front of them, and they're able to go through those. We went through Tifton and Sylvester and all those places, and when you do that, and our kids see those State Patrol guys and County Sheriff guys in front of it, it really makes them feel special. And I want to say thanks to the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office for helping us do that.
Yeah, those lights are a lot better when they're in front of you and not in your rearview mirror.
Well, you ought to see some of the folks that they come up on. They about caused a few wrecks here and there. Everybody gets kind of scared.
All right, well, we got a big game on Saturday night. I challenge all the people of Albany State, with the help of Valdosta State fans, put in 10,400 fans into the stadium. Let's step up. We've got a 3-0 team. We've got a big game. Let's keep the train rolling and keep on working towards a great season. And let's say goodbye to Southern Arkansas once and for all, unless maybe the playoffs, by some miracle, that they make that in. And let's, the last chance we have to cheer on Arkansas and thank them for their years of service. Great night, a great game against Albany State. We had some game Saturday, again, 7 o'clock. Be there, and we'll be back here next Monday to talk about it.
This has been a special presentation of the David Dean Coaches Show, live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to all of our sponsors, our title sponsors, Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Printco. A podcast of this show will be available later on ValdostaToday.com. Thank you again to Austin's Cattle Company. This has been the David Dean Coaches Show, live on Rock 108.